Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us this evening. Welcome to this broadcast brought to you by the Collegiate Star League. My name is Kyle Corvus Crow, and I'm joined at the desk today by Jeff Zeta Beta Schnurr, ready to get into a little bit of League of Legends action as we have Boston University taking on the University of Vermont. Two JV teams with a lot to prove this evening.
Yeah, we've got quite a bit on the line. The season's starting to wind down. You know, it is getting in towards that crunch time. Make it or break it for a lot of these teams. If you're wondering why my face is static instead of moving, I've got this really weird disease. It makes me kind of just freeze in time for hours on end. So as you're seeing my mouth not move, remember, the new Jeff Dunham show is going to feature me instead of him. But we want to introduce Boston University, give you a little look, what those players look like, what they're all about. And we're going to go run down the roster fact as well.
Absolutely. Boston University, one of the teams kind enough to provide us with a photo of themselves. Looks like some fun-loving dudes.
Pseudo-Ginyu Force pose.
Yeah, absolutely. So, apologies to any names butchered here on the desk today. I promise I am doing my best. So we'll run down that roster. It's Joseph Zingbet Marino in the top lane. Zing, Uncle Tui Zhao in the jungle. Jimmy Alvin Kin Hun in the mid lane. Lyle Height in that AD role, and Justin Slubby Wong supporting this one. You can see them all on your screen there. But of course, what would they be without their challengers this evening? To put them all into context against one another, of course, that's the University of Vermont, which means it's Liam Rivson Lane in the top lane, Austin Ostisy Wiraki in the jungle, Jimmy J-Honey, I'm guessing, Huynh, Latin Spheres Miller, and Kirby Pancreas Man Barrasso. Guess all the other vital organs were taken. Had to go with the pancreas.
I didn't think anyone was actually named Kirby, but that is a great name.
Yeah, no.
I just gotta say, that's fantastic. That's the kind of name that makes you make, about 15 games, a TV show, some spin-offs, some et ceteras.
An award-winning UGA football coach. That's
oh, really?
Yeah, Kirby
Isn't
Smart.
that last name?
Yeah, Kirby Smart is the name of
UGA's first
coach.
name. Okay.
Yep.
I was thinking of Jack Kirby.
No.
Right.
Jack Kirby. He's the comics. He was the Marvel comics.
He does
author,
comics.
Yeah.
See, this is how awake I am. Right.
Sure.
That's about the whole.
I don't read many comics, so.
All ends of it, and I don't read many comics either. But I have friends who read a lot of comics. It kind of rubs off on me.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, with
knowledge by osmosis.
We've got a breakdown of the top 10 teams to date. This is, of course, just our opinions on the rankings. Actually, not even our opinions. The casters, we didn't set this up together. So this is from some of CSL's analysts. We're going to run that, and we'll see what we think here.
Starting at 10th is California Polytechnic State University with a 4-0 record and striving for a top placement. 9th is University of Chicago, who is a newer team to CSL, but with a rank 50 challenger player. At 8 is University of Florida, another new team to CSL and a strong team across the board. 7th is University of Houston, the Texas representative with an impressive roster. At number 6 is the University of Washington, who blew through the season with a 10-0 game score. Coming in 5th is Rutgers University with an impressive 22-0 game score across 2 preseasons. 4th is George Mason University with their high-ranking players who can carry them to great heights. At 3 is University of California, San Diego with a consistent roster of master and challenger players. 2nd is Arizona State University. Their roster is loaded with talent and beat another strong team, UC Berkeley. And finally coming in 1st is University of British Columbia with an impressive history in esports and a stellar lineup. And that's our top 10 rankings of the League of Legends preseason.
All right, so with that, I can at least agree on probably UBC sitting at number 1, and then George Mason in the mix as well there somewhere.
It'd be hard to argue not number 1 as UBC. I think that the rest of the rankings have had a significant shakeup after last season, but that's all bridge water underneath it. We have a game to get to, and that means we are going to be loading into our first draft. Boston University, University of Vermont, game number 1, and the draft phase is about to get underway.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, that does mean it's Boston University on the blue side to start. Vermont will be taking to the red to kick us off here, so we'll see exactly how these two teams do square up. This was done in Pro Draft before time, so I may have that info here. Not actually. tell you the orders in which they do come down, but know that the Zillion ban is off the table. It's not something that Boston wants.
The weak fear the shadows.
Fear controls them.
To take away. Yeah, this is okay. So they've changed some names. I know Wiraki in the jungle. That's the last name of the we read, but Jim Parker and the Sphere, two names that I wasn't expecting to see. Lightning Kirby and Support Wins Bot as well. So looks like they.
I believe their AD was named Spheres.
Okay.
A bunch of Z's.
Yep. Sure.
So I'm pretty sure he just finally snagged that name. You know, that actually happens a lot, where names will just come off of rotation and players in the collegiate scene just wait, snatch it up, change their name mid-season, and causes a couple issues, but it also is pretty fun to, see how the progression of the name goes as we get our final ban. We're looking at that first pick. You can tell us what the order is here, but Urgot as a first pick, probably most likely
that actually
one
was
of their
the
first
pick
picks.
in real time.
Yeah.
So, Scion Poppy getting locked down for this one as well. Interesting to see, because usually that does tend to mean it's going to be Poppy in the jungle here, right?
Yeah.
So, obviously with the slotting, there's no room for this. We know that these are their exact positions. They're not going to do anything fun with the swip around. So,
Your
quickly running
Poppy
through.
jungle. It's actually been kind of interesting, right? It's been a, somewhat solo queue-esque pick. Some streamers have showed it off. Been some high elo play on it, some not so high elo play, but it's one of those predator junglers. You run at somebody much like the Camille. You just kind of launch yourself into the lane and do damage, right? It's all about that initial impact, pinning somebody against a wall, getting CC for long enough for you to kill them. And all I can think about is how terrifying it would have been if old Poppy had Predator.
Yikes. Yeah.
Imagine sprinting at you, and then she's invulnerable to turret damage. You just look at that, and you're like,
Yeah, what do you do?
my life.
Well, what you do is you pick your ADs. We got Varus coming out. That was actually their first pick on the side of UV.
Was Varus.
Yeah, so Varus and...
Super high priority for a Varus, and that's kind of unusual. Varus hasn't been a power pick. He hasn't been something that teams have been super testing, right? Contested picks are Alistar, of course, right? What position did the Alistar come down in? I assume first rotation.
It was actually the very last pickup on the side of Boston
Really?
University there. Yep, Lucian and Alistar were picked immediately last. They actually drafted in their in the order that we see on the screen.
That is...
So, yeah, kind of wild there. On the side of UVM, it was Varus Braum picked first, and then Scion, Victor, and Poppy to close things out.
Super surprised that they didn't pick the Alistar, right? But the reason that you can't pick Alistar always with the Varus is pretty obvious. If you pick Alistar and let's say they have a dive chip. Let's say they have, a Hecarim or a Camille or anything of the sort. You just lose. You can't protect your AD. You can't give him a wall. You can't give him a safe space. And because Varus is so immobile, he needs that spacing. He needs that front line, or else he is not able to do much of anything. So the Braum pickup, in that sense, very, very necessary as a champion. But because they're priority on Varus, it means they can't contest the Alistar, so it goes over to BU.
Absolutely. So we will see how these two teams do get together to square off here, as we are getting ready to load right on in to Summoner's Rift for game number 1 between these two teams. Excited to see how it all does run down. UVM over on the red side, Boston on the blue side, as they're taken to the Rift. Getting ready for game number 1 of this junior varsity series. A little bit of background info on these two teams, if you will. We've got here, let's see, we'll wait for the camera to kick back in there, sorry. So Vermont is sitting 4-0, Boston 3-0 due to a match that has gotten moved in the schedule. So this is Vermont's only CSL team coming in this semester. They are not fielding any other, team. This is the extent to which they want to compete, and so 4-0 seems to be working out for them so far. Boston just 3-0. This is their JV1 team, the best of their best for this division. So I'm curious to see kind of how these two are going to stack up as it all comes down. But they're just drawing the line of scrimmage, not getting too worked up about it. No early invades or action coming down between these two teams as yet. And it's 2 potion starts, actually, from the solo laners. That's going to be something I want to keep an eye on as we get into it.
Yeah, looks like, I guess pretty much what we'd expect. right? The laners are going to go to their respective sides. It's going to be a blue start. Zin's out. He's trying to do some vertical jungling, get up towards that top side, interrupt the Poppy very early on into this game. And that's pretty crucial, right? Because especially on Predator jungles, especially on Poppy, who can drop quite low in her clear, if the Xin Zhao ever finds her, it's just a free kill, right? He just guaranteed gets a kill, gets away for free. That should never be in question. So with that in mind, we want to keep an eye on what route the Poppy actually takes going forward. The Gromp to clear second, and most likely then is going to go for a Wolves to scuttle clear and then try to scout out, see if the Xin Zhao is taking his red, see if he's anywhere near her, see if he's, even thinking about contesting or invading, because if she just straight walks up, oh wow, okay, scuttle, and then maybe straight into the Xin Zhao's jungle, maybe she's red this in time.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting pickup. It did obviously offset Uncle Tui there, but we'll see exactly how bold this is, because hanging around that scuttle, a lot of people say, okay, they get this done, what lane can I come gank? Is the first question that runs down. Well, they know bottom's off the table now, because Spubby there came in, warded that brush up. They will, or not the brush, but the river itself. They will have that on record, so they're not too worried about it. It's just going to read where Rocky goes, clears top side, and I guess your best hope there is that you want Zingbet to be pushing on this into your Scion. You want the Urgot to be up in lane and, really try to make that happen early enough, but seems like Rocky and Uncle Tui just content to hard farm out here. Is it Slubby that wants the action coming in onto Pancreas Man, and support wins bot, following up on his support to get a nice good bit of damage down and really win that first trade in this bot lane.
Speaking of winning trades, right, the mid lane, Victor just has such a massive range advantage over the Lissandra that he can just keep bullying her out. Right, this is a very, very free lane for him. He doesn't need to worry about it. He has low mana, but when you already have dropped your opponent below half and they didn't bring Corrupting Potion, right, this is a double pot Doran's Ring Lissandra instead, means she's missing out on a lot of HP, She's missing out on probably, 100, 110 HP, tries to get away from Poppy gank, does so just in time. Huge range of that claw means that there's very hard time for Poppy to gank her, and that's fantastic, right? Because of the fact that Poppy wants to do aggressive early game stuff, we see that, we see her pressure, very good read, but it just doesn't matter, right? It's 1,000 range claw.
Yeah, able to get out of that one safely and in one piece. So does force the back, gives Jim Frizz Parker a little bit more time to bully out this lane and stretch that CS advantage, which I think is going to be the biggest story coming in to a lot of this game. But no Summoner's Burn, and that makes life a little bit harder for when Rocky wants to come in and finally get that kill down. Now there's some pigs coming out around the bot side, both junglers lurking in the area. Wouldn't be surprised if this is something that they want to start building up for themselves. It could just be to run right in from Wiraki there. Pancreas Man finds the first shot, but it's actually just buying time for the ward clear. They're going to get that one out and away, not worry too much about it, and Poppy gives up some position, gives up some priority, but it also means that Uncle Tui is not going to commit through this gank, and so all things considered, we'll be back to a pretty standard bot lane. Both these guys still just duking it out with one another.
And duking it out, I mean, the fact that they're getting, so much pressure that the Alistar's so threatening, I think it's a pretty big problem, right, for the bottom lane. If you take a look, the reason that the Alistar's been so contested is the fact that he can engage and get a perfect combo for CC onto both members, right? And then afterwards, the aftershock just means that he's basically invincible in the early game. So it's a very, very strong engage tank. It gets good early game aggression. It has melee executes heal. I mean, it's basically an all-in-one package, right? This is the snow tires you want for your actual lane because they're all weathers.
Yeah.
And it's really working out well, I think. Small advantages for sure. But because of that, the small advantages, right now they have priority in the bottom lane. They can look towards the dragon. They can think about, full shoving it in, resetting, setting it up, because they know Poppy, after failing those two ganks, has to clear the rocks at some point.
Right, with the bot and top going for themselves as well. Hopeful now. Send some signals to Uncle Tui. Mid is the lane he needs to keep an eye on. Was in the area, but didn't quite get away with anything just there. We saw the top laners playing a little bit of a game of bloody knuckles, but Rocky here going to clear out the ward. Maybe look to make a return after a little bit more camping here. But all in all, yeah, still no first blood. 6 minutes down. Neither team really even looking to make the big first blood attempt. They're just kind of steady, happy to farm out here. They're taking the advantages that they can get. Okay, we got a little bit in the bot lane over on the side of Boston. A nice one building up in the top side as Zingbet's been having a better time than Rivson here for Boston. And, you know, we had a better lead of CS. Jimfrin Sparker 10 or 11 up. That has kind of shored back in the direction of Lightning Kirby here. So now only 6 down. You have to wonder if this patient game isn't just benefiting Boston.
I really think it is, you know, and it's just a matter of the fact that it's not a patient game so much, right? They have Urgot into Scion. That's a winning, right? They've got Lissandra into the Victor is not a winning lane, but it's a safe lane, right? There's so few ways Lissandra can actually die to ganks, especially once she gets her 6, that it's a relatively safe lane. She gets poked out in the early game, sure, she gets harassed. It's fine, because you are getting your scale, you are getting your guaranteed lockdown for the later stages, and then their bottom lane is just hard winning. So what they have is they have a jungler that can match tempo or outpace the Poppy. They've got their mid lane, which is a little bit defensive, but then they have 2 more winning lanes on both sides of the map. They've got great priority, and now the Zing comes in.
Yeah, speaking of priority, Uncle Tui wants it, but Jimfrin Sparker actually spits back a lot of damage with the ultimate, and now here's where Rocky, yeah, don't think he's going to be able to find too much off of that one, but certainly a shot across the bow for Uncle Tui there. They brushed him right back on the plate, said, if you do stand too close, we will bean you with that one, so has to back off, and can't get that first gank that he wants to, so importantly, Jimfrin Sparker will stay alive. The blue buff's still in his hands, and the good news for this is Kirby has a little bit more room to harass now, feeling just a tick more confident, knowing that cleanse is down, but Jimfrin Sparker not afraid to trade. Speaking of not afraid to trade, there's Slubby. He's trying to get behind him. The Sphere's in some trouble, but look at that. The Glacial Fissure coming right down. Forces the flash out, and look, the Sphere gets away with just a tick of HP. The Ignite almost got it there, but just not enough at the end of the day. So the Sphere with no sums is going to have to back this off. All off some great aggression from Slubby here, and support wins bot.
It's
a lot of confidence in his name. Yeah, he's
right?
he's
I mean, it's just the truth, right? The thing is, Alistar is the strongest support in terms of just being able to win a bot lane. He walks forward, he knocks you up, and if you don't have the damage to instant kill his AD carry, you lose, right? You've already lost half HP from an Alistar engage. The support's the one doing such a large majority of the health that, as we saw there, right? Lucian flashes forwards and doesn't get the kill. If that shield drops a second earlier, a half second, a quarter second earlier, one of those autos flies through, the Varus dies, it's all worth it. Because it was Braum, Varus didn't die this go around, but he still might go down, right? That is a huge consideration to think about because, remember we mentioned, he's immobile. He's been knocked up by the Alistar a lot of times this lane, and if he continues to be pressured like this, I think they're going to be in a heck of a lot of trouble, right? BU is doing a masterful job of using the Alistar to the fullest potential, and they look to do it again here.
Yeah, 10 minutes in almost. They want to find that first kill. The Sphere knows he has to turn and fight this, but the stun up a little too much. Support wins. Bot going to get stunned in return, and they're going to find the first kill for themselves. The Sphere maybe going to live this one, and Slubby gets taken down. The TP is canceled from Zingbet, and now we're Rockies down here to help push this out. That did not go how they wanted it to at all. Insanely intelligent play from the Sphere and Pancreas Man to know that they could turn it well within their limits, and now a double kill Varus to deal with.
They didn't have flash, right? If the Lucian has flash there, he can flash around the Braum shield and kill the Varus. Because he flashed into the Braum shield earlier, he can't do anything, right? He just dies, no return, no reward, goes down super early because he dumped his entire combo into that shield, into that unbreakable. And you can't do that. You have to save some. You have to know that he's going to throw it up, wait until he gets done with it, and then drop more of your combo. Because it was all gone, most of his advantage being Lucian was gone as well. So he did just die there, but the Scion might get pulled in.
I had to force the ultimate to get out of that one, and can't say I disagree with it. Wanted to hold on to his flash. Ult will be on a shorter cooldown. Gonna have to back either way. Be really risky coming right back into this tower and just trying to reset, but he says he wants to do it, knows that the mana's low, so Zingbet getting this bluff called a little bit here, but he's just buying time because right there in the Dragon Pit, things are going down. Uncle Tui takes away the Wind Drake and gives one right over into the hands of Boston here. It's a much-needed victory back on the board after Vermont clawed away those 2 kills that Boston opted into that fight. So a little bit of a consolation prize on the day here.
And it was such a strange 2 kills, right? Because you think, this is a very ahead Boston. They've got a great Alistar. They've got super easy combos. They land the combo, right? Varus drops to quarter HP and just doesn't die for it. Does not get punished. He does not die. And so they can just walk straight forward, turn it around. There's no damage left once the Lucian is gone. The Alistar, he emptied his entire combo. He has nothing left. He can auto you for 40 damage a hit. But I don't think most people care about that. And that is evidenced by the fact that they now have a small gold advantage. Vermont feeling at least a bit better about how this game is going. They certainly have the tools to take it to the limit, I would say. Right, the Victor and the Varus, extremely good in the long game. They've got 3 tanks. But they need to be able to get there.
Right.
And whether or not they can,
we shall. Flash in where Rocky trying to get it. Uncle Tui knocks him right back, but that's going to mean Pancreas Man can get in their face. It's another knockback as Alistar Xin Zhao is a hard duo to stick on. Pancreas Man opting not to use the Glacial Fissure for an engaged tool there. Just meant it all does equal back out, but still keeping the side of Boston pretty well scared in this. Compositionally, I don't think you can look at either of these teams and just declare a winner from draft, right? It's not one of those games that's so obvious that, oh yeah, this was over before it even started. I think they both have the tools to really take this one the distance, and we say it comes down to execution so much, but we've seen action, a very tangible example of that when the Sphere and Pancreas Man were actually able to turn it around on Support Wins Bot and Slubby there, right? That's exactly the poster child for the idea of coming down to execution, especially even if you consider Slubby and Support Wins Bot actually should have probably won that fight. So
I mean, yeah, the real problem was that was a 1 fight if you play it right. And the difference is, as you said, right? Execution matters, but only so much as your execution, right? Oh, never mind.
Yeah, Support Wins Bot on the way out again. They're gonna get that last proc, and that's almost certainly the death sentence for him. Now here's another one coming in. Slubby getting locked down on this one. I don't think he's getting out in one piece. Still has the flash and does use it, but the auto attack follows him through as he was just a second too late onto that one. And see insult to injury, loses the summoner on the docket for it as well. Means the first tower of the game is going down. That is Vermont really picking up some steam here as they find another 2 in the bot lane. Rest of the map unharmed thus far, but the tower will go down. No dragon or anything to boot, so it should just be this objective, but they'll be happy to take the reset off of it and just move on to better things.
I mean, the really interesting part about that was just the disrespect and knowing that Varus is ultimate, knowing that you're playing in range, and, not having a plan, right? Not knowing if you can flash time and not knowing if you have the timing, not knowing any of these things. He just gets completely punished for it, right? It was a great Varus ult into the Braum ultimate. There's already a Poppy in the vicinity. She Predators in. But even in the 2 versus 2, right, they still guaranteed pretty much get that single kill onto the Lucian just because of the disrespect. So what I'd like to see is I'd like to see BU maybe give a little bit more thought to, how they actually play that bottom lane, right? They were playing it super well until a certain point. They start losing slightly. And the real problem is if this actually goes, a bit too long, what happens if the Lucian can't scale? What happens if the Lucian doesn't do any damage anymore? He can't kill a 3-tank frontline in the vast majority of his games. And that is exactly what Vermont has brought to the table. They've already got an early lead. So what we need to see is we need to see BU step up and do it soon if they want to make an impact.
Well, they're trying to find a kill onto Jimford's Parker there, and he does not quite get out with the flash. Tried it, but just couldn't get over to the wall in time. So doesn't lose his flash for it, is the good news for him at least there, but that's a much-needed kill. Back into the pocket now of Boston, so we'll see whether or not they can turn that into anything, because it does go over to someone who could very much use it. That is, of course, Lightning Kirby on that Lissandra there. They gave up the Rift Herald for it. They knew that there was a challenge there. They instead opted to put 2 of their members onto the 1 kill. They knew they could get it in a pinch, so we'll suffer for that, but they actually take the tower back in the bot lane off the back of the lane swap. Not really working out for Vermont here. And
I think the lane swap it's so necessary though, right? You've already got the winning Varus. You need him to do something with that lead. The Scion's already behind. If he falls more behind, if the turret goes down, it doesn't really matter.
Oh, there's a Glacial Fissure coming down. Uncle Tui's in some trouble as Waraki's getting right in onto Zingbet. He flashes out, but probably not going to be able to get too far away if they do decide to dive. They're not going to do it. Instead, it's going to be the Rift Herald, and that's going to be just fine. Kill you if you're here. We'll get your tower if you're not. They're trying to answer back, though, onto Jim Prince Parker again. The flashy save from last time.
Back here.
Saving him, and now Slubby actually going to go down. This is really good for the University of Vermont here because the two damage dealers
they're getting
are
two top
still
turrets.
locked.
They defended mid turret, right? They could even get a charge onto the inhibitor turret, right?
Really
that would
big.
be the ultimate icing on the cake if they could half HP an inhibitor turret on this push at 16 minutes in. I mean, what
Sky's
more
the
can you
limit.
really ask?
Yeah. Don't think they're going to get that. Yeah, there's Zingbet just using the execute to take out the Rift Herald, or just executing it below a certain threshold of health, rather. So that is going to just dial it back. But they've taken two crucial towers, and they're going to try to find a kill onto Lightning Kirby. It's a great fake out with the way he does use the Ice Claw to get out of that one. But now it's an Infernal Drake.
The most interesting thing there is the fact that the Poppy tried to push the Lissandra for a long enough distance so that she couldn't reactivate. It was about the timing between the two. Like, you try to push the Braum far, or the Ornn far enough, but they're actually going to go in.
Oh, they want to get behind the Braum shield, and they do. That means the Sphere is taken down, and now Pancreas Man on the run. Culling comes out, and it doesn't quite get him. And that could be huge, yeah, if it means that this Infernal Drake does come to their favor. Yeah, they cannot get in with Pancreas Man, so they effectively steal the Drake back off of a pick. That one was looking like a shoe-in over for good old University of Vermont. But Boston take it back with a high IQ play and keep themselves alive in this game. Down about 2.5, 3K gold somewhere in the midst of all that, but building some pressure back for themselves. Things are not looking that drastic.
That is the real strength, right? The real strength of the composition that they've drafted is the fact that the super immobile, some would say hyper carry Varus, right, that's been selected for Vermont, is exactly that. He is super immobile. If the team's not in position, if the 3-tank line is not giving him adequate space, if he only has the Braum to bear, he will get dove and he will be excellent. There is simply no way he can live through all of the damage that is on Boston's side. But up until that last fight, they've done an excellent job of separating him far enough from the damage so that he has time to free hit, he has time to actually deal it. But if he gets brought down one or two more times like that, I mean, the lead could be completely erased.
Right. Being able to kind of compartmentalize that in such a way that benefits your team is a skill that not a lot of League of Legends teams can really pull off all the time. So seeing Boston at least have the foundations of that gives a lot of hope for the remainder of this series. Of course, we're still just in game number 1. Nobody getting down just yet, but meanwhile, this could be Waraki going down almost. The Glacial Fissure comes as well as they try to salvage the engage, but Pancreas Man, you got to back off of this one. And they want to make one final attempt at it. It's going to be Ribson coming in with the Scion, trying to get it down. That's the pull back in. That's bad for Zingbet, but he's not out of this one yet. Slubby is trying to get in, and he's going to find the kill onto Waraki. Lightning Kirby gets the credit, but they do trade back as it's Uncle Tui gone down. Ribson flashing out. Now they have to be careful as Lightning Kirby in the front line. Still got a lot of damage, but could take it as well. Jim Prince Parker wants it. Slubby's there. Parker gets Zingbet. There's another one goes down. Slubby the Alistair is cooked for burgers, and Lightning Kirby's on the way out of this one, but the downtown shot means it's locked in. And the only survivor is support Winspot on this Lucian, not getting away with his team. And just like that, Vermont send a message. Whew. Big pickup. They should get the tower here as well. 20 minutes in.
So the thing is, we were talking about the Boston comeback. We were talking about the Boston style and how they had a chance. And then that happened, right?
Not ideal.
There's It's kind of the caster curse, but it's also kind of just a very well-spaced fight. Finally, for the first team, right? They had some issues. They got picked a bit. They got separated on the dragon fight. Not so great communication there, where they did get, 2 members up on one side, 3 on the other side of this huge wall, and they got punished for it. That go around, it was exactly by the book, right? Everything went according to plan, and I think they probably have the advantage in a significant, because not only do they have the Varus on 2 items, but they've got Varus on 2 items when Lucian is on 1.5. That's such a massive advantage because Lucian's all about the early spike, shutting down the enemy AD, getting the lead for his team, and then being able to take that snowball, being so far ahead of your other stat stick that your frontline doesn't matter. There's nobody to protect because he's not doing damage. since they have a front line, since they have someone to protect, since he's not shut down, Boston is in a heck of a lot of trouble.
It's a tricky situation for them to find themselves in, especially now. It doesn't feel like it. It still feels like kind of an early game, despite we've been going on for, 21 minutes and some change now. But that means things like the Baron are on the board here. And this is a Varus that, he's got his blade completed already. He's not a hyper carry status or anything, but between his damage and just the tank bars that are going to be brought in from Rivs and Sion and Waraki on the Poppy, that's a real threat if another fight does go down on Boston in the favor of Vermont here. And so this game, it doesn't feel like one team's squarely got it in their jaws and just circling the drain. It's also a very, very dangerous ground now that Boston have to tread.
And Boston, I mean, the good thing is, right, at very...
Hang on,
very
good thing might be for Vermont getting a kill on a
Hold
Slubby
up.
here. They want to try to find it. It's going to be danger for him, and just getting out with the skin of his teeth. Maybe. No, it's the downtown shot. The spear gets it, but Ribson's gone in pretty heavily, and that's going to be the execution. His ghost will come back to haunt, though, but Uncle Tui is in there. It's a nice blast cone to get them separated. But it's a 2-for-1 pickup right now to the credit of Boston. They may not be done, as Jim Parker has to be careful here. I think he will wisely back off. They want to defend their tower, which means distant wave clear is the name of the game. Getting this cannon off the board should be okay, and they know that there aren't a ton of engaged tools left besides the Claw, and Lightning Kirby not in the healthiest position to do that. Does make it an interesting question. I'd be curious to see how long they truly stick around here, because now Pancrase Man back at full health. Rivson with the teleport could get down in time, but they'll take the tower, just brush it off, and get themselves some much-needed gold back into the business here.
Yeah, and getting back in, I mean...
That's how you do it.
It is. It's the start, right? 2 kills, pretty good. That's something. A little bit of a shutdown, a little bit of a, trade back, but the reality still is they need damage, right? They need to not be reliant on the fact that, at the moment, Vermont has to make a misstep for them to actually have a chance to fight. They do not have the damage present in either of their main carries to win fights convincingly, I think. And even though the Urgot's on his 2 items, he's on his guaranteed, he'll do damage, but Urgot, as good as he is, as much as he is a champion that is so widely feared for his 1v3, 1v4, etc., this is still percent health Varus. Still has so much on hit, so much damage. You've got to be worried. You can't just walk into a stat stick. You can walk into tanks and do that, but this Varus is a whole nother matter. We'll see if BU really want to take this kind of fight, because the Dragon is alive, up, ready for action as they go for Varus.
And I want to find him and just push him right back off. It's actually Lightning Kirby that takes more damage for the whole
Yeah, he
encounter.
changed.
Well, we'll see whether or not they do build out anything here. The Dragon, it's another cloud, something that both teams would be happy to take. More so, obviously, Boston at this point, if their composition can start stacking those Cloud Drakes, they're going to start feeling really good about themselves. But UVM, they've given up 2 Dragons, almost both to what feel like sneaks or, types of cheese. They'll get this one locked in. It's a mountain coming up next on the day, so they're not too concerned with that immediately. Gonna go right back to the mid lane here. Try to just find more towers, because that's really the driving force that they want to keep going for themselves in this game. We'll see whether or not they can post up some ward priority around Baron, because they had a lot of good ward coverage around the Dragon. Now they're in an attempt to do it in this next objective. Baron's really going to be the last thing noteworthy on the map for a good amount of time, unless they want to just try to set up an extended siege in the bot lane or something, right? So,
I mean, it's actually pretty interesting in terms of the actual objectives taken. Where was that ult going? I'm not really sure, but
I'll tell you where this one's going. Right into the face of Support Wins bot, and he's taken out of that one. Not even a chance. The Sphere picks up that kill for himself and locks it right on in. This signals that they want the Baron. Lightning Kirby has the teleport, goes back to base first, but wouldn't be surprised to see them use it. This is a tricky Baron to burst down. They do not have the damage they need to kill it quickly. It means they have to rely on the fight or the picks breaking out. Well, that's how you start it. The jungler is down. Uncle Tui's out. They keep the Baron on the bait. Lightning Kirby, are you going to try this? That's maybe a bold play even for you, but they go for it anyway. Glacial Fissure comes down. Jim Parker finds the first kill. That's a double, and it's only a matter of time until Slubby is the last one out of here, and they keep the Baron on the hook the whole time. Masterfully played coming out from the side of Vermont. They held that one out exquisitely, and now they want to keep the aggression up. They're not going to back. They're not going to let off the pressure. Top inhibitor tower is what they want to find, but support wins bot. Has a lot of minions to deal with. Rivson has to be careful the way he plays this.
Oh, it's kind of interesting actually right now that this is actually very, very interesting, because the fact is, they've got Baron, they've got time, they've got space, but they use teleport so aggressively, right? Don't you think they want to save that for a bit? Maybe just run it back down with ultimate for the Saya? He's got so much time and no AD support. If his AD was there, if Varus was there, sure, TP and all you want, be the big meat shield for the turret, take it down. But nobody's there. It's a very, very strange use of teleport there. I wonder if it might come back to haunt them when they're looking to try and end this game out within the next couple minutes.
It is tricky, because you look at mistakes like that, and you know you can't make them, right? That's just unacceptable at a high level of collegiate league play, and the best teams will punish. And these are two teams that are very good, and I would say evenly matched, I think, despite what we see on the score here, the 10k gold advantage. But you take a look at that 10k gold advantage, and then you contrast it with the messed up teleport, and you say it's probably not the biggest deal in the grand scheme of things. They can still just maintain pressure in the faces of their opponents, but we'll see whether or not so Boston can really hold this one out. Their ward line's getting shredded, and that is the biggest frustration for me there if I'm a Boston player, is just watching all of this slip away, the vision that you built hard to keep your base protected. And they do want to set up the siege in the bot lane. Baron's a little over halfway, means they got plenty of minion waves to just crash on this tower, and that would be the last of the outer turrets. Top lane, something you need to keep an eye on as well, is it actually looks like from a distance it might be building up in favor of Boston. Crashing back, but what good is that going to do you if you can't stop these 5 members from just charging down your base and making your life a living hell?
I mean, the thing is, there are no inhibitors down, right? That's the very, very good silver lining of the Dark Cloud. Boston don't have to worry about single supers. They have no supers to worry about, not on the entirety of the map, so they can sit here for forever. And they have pretty good wave clear, so they can sit here for forever, wave clearing, hopefully stall out the Baron, and do this. And you've got to wonder, Vermont, they need to be shoving something else, right? The Victor's coming up towards this middle lane right now, but they need to be doing this way, way, way earlier in advance. You take the Baron, you walk it down side lanes, you put split pressure on, and that's what causes turrets to collapse. The fact they haven't done that yet means that their macro play has slowed down considerably, or they just didn't really think about the need to take these turrets.
Oh, Jim from Spark is going to flash in. Wants to find Lightning Kirby, who flashes out. It's well played within the strengths of Lissandra, but he tries to go back for it, and I don't think they would have needed him to get that kill. Not as Zingbit was coming in there, so really rough play there as Lightning Kirby gives up the ghost just to take away Jim from Sparker. And that's a tough one to call worth. Technically, I mean, the assists are going to be better in the gold scheme of things, but losing a key part of your wave clear means that you're going to get knocked out on the tower game, and that's exactly what Vermont have done here. The first inhibitor is falling, and they're going to pick that one up, try to run out scot-free.
Yeah, there should be no way to actually punish that inhibitor going down, but it's only one inhibitor, right? If there were 2 inhibitors down, if there were, 3 inhibitors, God forbid, off the first Baron, the game would be over. But because it's just one inhibitor, there's still the possibility of defending for the rest of the time of the Baron if it doesn't just time out. Or it should time out, and it has, I believe. Yes. So the Baron is gone, nobody has it remaining, and there's only one inhibitor. So the best thing that Vermont can do right now is take the drag, walk towards the top side, wait for the supers to pile up, hopefully. There's nobody with enough damage to clear those at the same time as they're defending from your onslaught, and then they can just get a second inhibitor, do the same with a third, end the game out. But time is starting to become a little bit of a non-factor, both teams are scaling up. They're going towards 6 items. They've got a lot of farm in their hands. And if it reaches the point where BU has 6 items, it's not a free ride anymore, right? They don't have an advantage. They need to be worried about it.
Right, BU, the game plan here as the Mountain Drake does go over to the hands of Vermont. Boston need to take the car in neutral, slap it into a high gear, mistime the clutch, and stall. They need to stall this game out. That is their best bet here. And 31 minutes on the board. You know, you're already kind of knocking on the door of some of that feeling of later game. You're not late game yet. Your best option is sitting with about 275 CS there, a little more. As he's got 10k gold to his name. Still 4 behind his opponents, and he's really your best hope on this one, right? Support wins bot. He would need all the protection. He'd need all the peel. And that's just a hard thing to do, especially when the rest of his team seems tied up elsewhere. They want to find Jim Prince Parker there.
No.
And they may get the kill out of this one, but at what cost? Because the tower's gone down. Lucian nowhere to go. And this is going to be another inhibitor traded just because Jim Prince Parker was off doing other stuff. Now Lightning Kirby's in some trouble. They want to find a little bit more. Slubby potentially going to be locked up here. It looks like they may have a hard time finishing this one on the side of Vermont just yet. They want to find the last inhibitor, and that should be no problem, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him actually reset after this.
They do have to reset, right? They have to take some time, reset, get back. Oh, Urgot from behind.
Yeah, he wants to find this one, actually. The health bar's dropping, though. Zingbit is in some trouble. Uncle Tui wants to find the trouble. The resurrection, though, is what's coming down. Yeah, it is just the GA. No summoners when he comes up. No damage, and he's shut down. That one goes over to support wins bot. They're going to find another here as Ribson will go down. But that'll certainly do it. They have to go back to their base, and they also can't continue the push in through this angry Scion. It would just tear them to ribbons. And so 32 minutes and some change. They've already lost one Nexus Tower. The second one is a must-save. And it looks like they will do just that. But Vermont in great position to just return and close out this game when it matters.
They have Baron. They have Baron in like 20 seconds, right? There's no better place for them to be right now. Just because they got the Baron, they have triple inhibitors. They can sit at Baron.
Right.
And just wait.
Yep.
And if they ever commit, if Boston ever steps foot out of their base, go challenge the Baron, they instantly.
Yeah, that would definitely
Supers
just
pile
take
in.
them out.
They lose. If they don't step out, double super waves that are Baron empowered. So, at this point, you got to be thinking, you know, it's pretty much over. It's just looking like a Vermont victory because they've got Baron, they've got double supers in every lane. And it's just an eventuality, an afterthought almost at this point.
Vermont definitely poised to take this one away. It would be a Mighty Ducks tier miracle if Boston were to try to get back into this one, but doesn't look like the comeback will be happening this game. We're knocking on the door at 34 minutes. 2 dragons apiece for both teams, but the kills are doubled for the side of Vermont, and they've got 12k gold their advantage. No small portion of that, thanks to the 8-turret lead that they built for themselves here. So this should be the final push. They're clearing out the vision where Rocky and the Spear both feel relatively confident just holding out this area. Once they bared up these super minions, you can already tell, look at how long it's taking the side of Boston to deal with just the non-empowered super minions, right? That's just doubling up. This is where things get extraordinarily tricky for the side of Boston University. They're going to find themselves in just a little bit of trouble here, I am certain, as 5 members now stacking for UVM here. They want to find it. Jim Prince Parker, the first one in, making sure that support wins spots, the first one out, and this is where they're going to have...
The inhibitor's back up.
You know,
and the
just full
inhibitor's back
completion.
down.
Why not get it, right?
The inhibitor's back up, now it's back down. And this should just be the end. They are walking forwards, looking for the last Nexus turret. Victor with a big auto attack, but they're looking for the desperate re-engage.
It's time. They got to try it, but Lightning Kirby's taken out and away. Nowhere to go with that one. So many knocked up as Uncle Tui tries to get in. The Spear is down. That's a lot of damage. But is it enough? Because Jim Prince Parker's still in this. Actually, he's taken out, but now before a triple kill before it locks through. And this is bad for support wins spot where Rocky's there. And the minions could do it alone at this point, but there will still be 2 or 3 members of the side of VM to hold that one down. Make sure they get it and take game number 1 for themselves. Feeling really good about that first victory. They'll take it 11-22. 35 minutes, so it was, you know, it was a long, hard-fought victory, but they put that first one on the board.
Yeah, that was it was certainly drawn out, to say the least. I think that the macro play got really, really sloppy towards the middle parts of the game. They recovered it, though, which is good to see. Right, they got their heads back into the right mindset, took the exact steps that they needed to, closed out the game. Took longer than it was necessary, but it was a closeout, right? Despite the mistakes, despite the places where they stumbled, they got through the finish line, got that first victory, and now Boston's got to be sweating, right? But not that hard. There is a very crucial point for game number 2. Actually, I'll discuss that when we get into our pick ban for the next game. I'll save that for now, but we're going to take a really short break and come back at you with game number 2.
And as we do throw it over to break, we actually have an interview from TwitchCon, a little bit of some CSL, kind of other content we're trying to produce, familiarize you with some of the bigger names in this collegiate scene. As we are a small kind of collegiate world, and we do rely on a lot of each other. So, gonna share some thoughts of key person we met at TwitchCon representing UT Dallas. We'll be right back after this.
My name